Hello again, dear friends. Welcome to the second part of our three-part series on forgiveness. In part 1, we explored the power of forgiveness, the way it can free us from the weight of the past and open the heart to peace. But if forgiveness brings such peace, why does it feel so hard? Today, we'll walk gently into that question together. There was a time I believed forgiveness meant agreeing with what was done to me. But in truth, it's not about condoning the act. It's about choosing not to carry the poison. Let's begin. Forgiveness feels hard because being hurt hurts. We often imagine forgiveness as a purely spiritual act, calm, noble, above it all. But it starts in a very human place, pain. Maybe someone broke your trust. Maybe they never apologized. Or maybe the one you need to forgive is yourself. And that pain doesn't just live in your memory. It lives in your body, your nervous system, your sense of safety. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened. It invites us to be honest with it, to meet the wound with presence before we can release the grip. In my younger years, I tried to skip ahead, trying to forgive while still carrying the weight in secret. But true healing only began when I stopped pretending I was already whole. Another reason forgiveness is so difficult. Our egos don't like to surrender. The ego wants justice. It wants repayment. It says, they should feel what I felt. Forgiveness can feel like giving up that imagined control, like letting someone get away with it. But clinging to resentment is like drinking salt water. It feels powerful for a moment, but it only deepens the thirst. In Buddhism, we speak of the three poisons: greed, hatred, and delusion. Resentment often contains all three. The desire to be right, the hatred of what happened, the illusion that holding on will protect us. One of the hardest moments in my life came when I realized my anger had become part of my identity. Who was I, without my story of being wronged? Letting go wasn't just about them. It was about me. Sometimes, forgiveness is hard because the person never said I'm sorry. No acknowledgement. No remorse. Maybe they've passed on. Maybe they're unreachable. Maybe they don't even think they did anything wrong. In these cases, forgiveness can feel incomplete, like we're offering grace into a void. But here's the quiet truth. Forgiveness is for the one carrying the pain, not necessarily for the one who caused it. It's an act of self-liberation, an internal release that says, I will not let this wound define the rest of my life. I once wrote a letter I never sent. I poured out everything I wished they had understood. Then I burned it, not out of anger, but release. Forgiveness didn't come all at once, but that was the first breath of freedom. And perhaps the most silent kind of pain is when we struggle to forgive ourselves for what we said, what we didn't say, for the harm we caused, or the ways we abandoned our own hearts. Self-forgiveness asks us to face our shame, not with punishment, but with deep, honest compassion. You are not your worst moment. You are not your past mistake. You are a living, growing being. And every breath you take is a chance to begin again. There was a season of my life where I wore guilt like a cloak. But guilt is only helpful when it leads to responsibility. And responsibility, when rooted in love, can give birth to redemption. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It's not pretending it didn't hurt. It's not staying in harmful relationships or allowing repeated harm. Forgiveness doesn't mean trust. It doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean agreeing with what happened. It means this: you choose peace over poison. You choose to stop rehearsing the pain. You choose to let your heart be free again, even if the other person never changes. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is a strength few dare to master. A dear teacher once told me, forgiveness is not something you force. It is something you prepare the heart to receive. Since then, I've stopped trying to force it open, and instead, I wait like a gardener, clearing the soil, watering the roots, and trusting the bloom will come. If forgiveness feels hard, that's because it is. But the difficulty does not mean you're failing. It means you're human, and you're on the path. You don't have to rush. You don't have to force. You just have to begin. Sometimes, I think of forgiveness like the slow melting of winter. There is no single moment when the ice disappears. But one day you realize, the ground is soft again. Thank you for being here, dear friends. I hope today's teachings offered you even the smallest bit of light. In part 3, we'll explore the gifts forgiveness offers, what opens up after the letting go. Until then, take care of your beautiful heart.